Prince Harry has long been known as the emotional heart of the royal family, the prince who spoke openly about pain, loss, and the weight of expectation. But according to people who claim to be close to his inner circle, something has changed. They describe a man under constant strain, sleepless nights, restless pacing, endless scrolling through headlines as if bracing for a moment he knows is coming but cannot stop. One source, described as a former legal advisor familiar with the Sussex household, claims Harry recently reached a breaking point. In a private conversation, the source alleges Harry admitted he has been carrying a secret for years, one he never intended to shoulder alone. According to this account, the children he presents as his own were not carried by his wife. The public story, the source claims, was carefully constructed and maintained under immense pressure. These claims are not presented as proven fact, they are allegations. But they have circulated quietly for years, dismissed publicly, and whispered privately. What makes this moment different, according to the source, is Harry's state of mind. They say he no longer believes the secret can remain contained. The alleged fracture did not appear overnight. It began as a hairline crack, small enough to hide, but persistent enough to widen with time. At the center of the claims is a woman identified only by initials. She does not use her full name, citing strict confidentiality agreements she says once governed her life. For clarity, she is referred to here as DL. DL claims she was involved in the births of both children and goes further, stating she is their biological mother. She alleges she possesses documentation to support her account: medical records, correspondence, contracts, and digital communications. These claims have not been independently verified. According to DL, she remained silent for years because she believed she would be protected. She says assurances were made regarding privacy, financial compensation, and long-term security. She claims those promises were never fully honored. After the births, DL alleges she was cut off completely. No follow-up, no confirmation, no acknowledgement. She says she was erased from the narrative while watching the world celebrate milestones she remembers in an entirely different way. To understand how DL says she became involved, her account traces back to late 2018. She claims she was approached discreetly through a fertility clinic known for working with high-profile clients. According to her version, the process was deliberately insulated. Names were obscured, staff rotated, records were segmented. DL claims she followed every instruction precisely. She attended appointments, she complied with protocols, she carried the pregnancy under strict confidentiality. When the birth occurred, she says it took place far from cameras, press, or royal medical teams. Afterward, she claims, everything shifted. According to DL, communications ceased abruptly. Contacts disappeared. She was told her role had ended. Meanwhile, public preparations for the introduction of a newborn accelerated elsewhere. When the world was introduced to Archie, the presentation appeared seamless. Carefully timed announcements, calm appearances, a polished narrative. But DL alleges the timeline did not align with her experience. She claims the child was born earlier than publicly stated. Supporters of the official narrative have long cited privacy concerns. DL disputes that explanation. She claims what occurred was not about privacy, but control, controlling timing, optics, and documentation. DL further alleges her name does not appear on any publicly accessible records. She claims this omission was intentional. According to her, she was told explicitly that no trace could remain. Later, changes to official documents, which were publicly described as administrative corrections, are viewed differently through her lens. She believes those changes were part of a broader effort to simplify a story that was already complicated behind the scenes. She also claims financial arrangements were handled through intermediaries. Payments, if any, were fragmented, Agreements were layered. She says she retained copies of everything, not out of suspicion at first, but eventually out of self-protection. At this point, the story moves beyond personal grievance. It enters legal and constitutional territory. Under long-standing loyal conventions, succession is not symbolic, it is procedural. Lineage matters, documentation matters, verification matters. If any element of that chain is challenged, the consequences ripple outward. Legal analysts note that if such claims were substantiated, they would raise questions about documentation, disclosure, and process. They would not automatically determine outcomes, but they would demand answers. According to sources, this is why anxiety has reportedly grown behind palace walls, not because of public reaction, but because unresolved questions attract scrutiny. While these claims circulate quietly, observers note an unmistakable shift in public behavior. Appearances become fewer, statements grow rarer, silence replaces explanation. Industry insiders claim partnerships once pursued enthusiastically now stall without explanation. Conversations pause, invitations fade. The reason, according to those insiders, is not personal dislike, but risk avoidance. No one wants to be associated with uncertainty before it resolves. Meanwhile, attention has turned increasingly toward Prince Harry himself. Sources describe him as withdrawn, emotionally exhausted, and burdened by guilt. Not guilt over unconventional family building, but over secrecy, over helping maintain a narrative that may now be unraveling. One individual, described as a longtime acquaintance, claims Harry expressed regret in a private moment, saying he believed protecting his family required silence. According to that account, he never anticipated the long-term consequences. If DL proceeds publicly, the impact would not be limited to media headlines. Legal implications could span jurisdictions. Medical confidentiality, contractual obligations, misrepresentation, and institutional responsibility would all come under examination. DL's representatives claim she is prepared. They say she intends to present documents rather than opinions. Emails, agreements, records, timelines, materials she says were never meant to resurface. They hint at a formal interview, possibly televised, where she would speak directly and present her materials without intermediaries. If that occurs, the narrative will shift from speculation to evidence-based debate. For institutions built on continuity, that moment matters. The palace has not commented on these claims. Neither confirmations nor denials have been issued. Observers note that silence can mean many things: strategy, legal caution, or simply waiting. Inside the Sussex household, sources describe a tense calm, no visible conflict, no public statements, just distance, long pauses, careful choices. DL, meanwhile, stands at a threshold. According to her team, she no longer seeks attention or validation. She seeks closure. Whether her claims withstand scrutiny remains to be seen, but history shows that stories suppressed do not disappear. They accumulate pressure, and when they surface, they reshape conversations far beyond their origin. This is no longer framed as gossip by those watching closely. It is framed as a potential reckoning, one that challenges narratives, documentation, and trust. If evidence enters the public record, the outcome will not be determined by emotion or belief. It will be determined by verification. And that is why this moment feels different. Because once documentation replaces silence, control shifts. And when control shifts, history listens.